Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Money, Real Business podcast. I'm Lauren, and today we have Jose on the show who's selling an Amazon FBA business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Hey Jose, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm wonderful. Really excited to learn more about your business. It certainly sounds like you've got a great one on your hands. But before we dive in, I'm going to give the listeners a brief summary of the business so they have a better idea of what we're talking about. This is an Amazon FBA business. It was created in December 2017, and it's in the personal care and health and fitness niches. The average revenue for the business is $118,050 per month, and it makes an average of $38,807 per month in net profit. The assets included with the business are an Amazon Seller Central account with one SKU, a domain including all site content and files, supplier relationships, contractor contacts, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Pinterest social media accounts, trademarks and patents, a transparency account, and operational SOPs. Please note that inventory is not normally included in the list price, but further details can be provided to verified buyers. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 64778 to learn more about this business. Or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So now that that's out of the way, let's hear more from the seller. Jose, can you fill us in on your background in starting and running online businesses?
Yes, of course. I think I should mention that some of my first jobs back in 2015 were in retail. I worked at a Calvin Klein retail store where I did stock, and then I also did sales on the floor. I did that for a year, then I went on to another job, Samsonite luggage store, where I sold luggage, suitcases, and also accessories. I've learned a bunch in terms of conversions, communicating with customers and trying to sell a product based on its product features and benefits. And then also based on the customer's needs and really trying to figure out what kind of customer it is. Is it a customer trying to find a suitcase for, do they travel internationally? Do just domestic? How often do they travel? Do they need a soft case? Do they need a hard case? So I really got the opportunity to learn a lot about sales before even starting the Amazon business. But once I started it, I wasn't sure if I wanted to start the Amazon business. My uncle had told me about it, but it wasn't until I went to a seminar. And this seminar was hosted by, I'm not sure if you know who Damon Johnson is. It's one of the sharks from Shark Tank. It wasn't him, but it was his right-hand man. They were hosting a seminar in Palm Springs to start your own product, label product. As I mentioned, my uncle had told me about it in the past, but I was just kind of iffy. It's actually a business that I would like to go for. But once I attended this seminar, it caught my eye a lot more. So I ended up going into it, and they offered a course for like $13,000, and I wasn't able to afford it. So I went to my uncle, and my uncle recommended me to a coach. And this coach introduced me to the basics of selling on Amazon and really helped me a bunch to find the product, to launch the product, to find the special keywords. And the rest is history. So going forward, I've learned the basics, and from there just went into the more advanced stuff as the years went past. But I've been doing Amazon for about 5 years now.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm sure that retail background must have helped a lot, as you said. And it's great that you were able to get some coaching before you started your business as well. What inspired you to sell this product in particular?
Great question. Going into the business, as I mentioned, I had a coach who taught me some of the basics of finding the products. And I did a lot of research to trying to find the product. And the idea of finding the product is you want to find one. Back in 5 years from now, it might be a little bit different, but 5 years ago, when I first came in, my coach recommended to find a product that was high in revenue. There was a lot of sellers making high revenue, and then the review have to be low, a majority of them, because if there's high revenue and low reviews, that means that there's opportunity to go into the business without too much competition. Another thing that we looked at is like the images, photography, videography, EBC. Was there low-hanging fruit when we seen some of those details? And the answer was yes when we seen this category, because a lot of sellers didn't have the highest quality images, didn't have the highest quality videography. So that's definitely something that we've seen as low-hanging fruit to go into the category. But I've never fell in love with any product. We're just looking at the numbers and just saying, does this make sense as a business to get into where I could potentially make some profit off of this? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go. Coming into it from such a knowledgeable place, having done your research, is much better than just picking a product out of thin air. So you certainly set yourself up for success with a solid foundation. What are the reasons you've decided to sell the business now?
The main reasons why I would like to sell the business is just two main reasons. For one, I have so much money tied in, and I would like to finally release some of those funds to start spending some of that money for myself and for my family, buy my parents a home, buy the things that are very important to me, like education for my little brother. And the second reason why I wanted to sell the business is because the product doesn't really fit myself. The avatar for this product is female. The age is 24 to 35. And I spend more years into this business. I know that becoming the user of a product is very important because you're able to understand product development. And now more than ever, especially on Amazon, product development is becoming a pillar to being successful and gaining a lot of rank and organic reviews, because that's the way the direction of Amazon is going. And at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want a great product that actually works. Those are the two main reasons why I'm deciding to sell.
Yeah, I think it's great that starting and growing this business and now selling it will give you the finances to really open some doors and pursue something that you're really passionate about. So I think you've got some exciting times ahead of you. Given that this was your first business, I'm sure everything didn't go quite as smoothly as you'd hoped. There were probably some ups and downs. So can you walk me through what you would say was your biggest success with this business?
Great question. So I would say one of the biggest successes is the timing. As I mentioned, I got in 5 years ago, and this category was very non-competitive and low-hanging fruit at the time. I've looked into a lot of other products 5 years ago, and not as much caught my eye as the one that actually my coach recommended me, this product. The revenue was very high. The competition was very low in terms of reviews and low-hanging fruit of low-quality images that the competition had. So it was just an opportunity. And that actually allowed me to ground my keywords and ground my ranking. Just being early to the game allowed me to really get ahead. And also another thing is like Facebook advertising. 2 years ago, we ranked keywords, and that allowed us to really get ahead as well. So that would be it.
Yeah, it's great that you were able to get in there before everyone else. That's a huge bonus. Often there's a steep learning curve with Amazon FBA businesses. So was there anything that didn't go to plan or any big setbacks that you encountered?
Yeah, the list goes on. I would be here forever to tell you what other things that didn't work out, but the major ones that I really look back on and that I think to myself, not get caught on it again, was product development. So maybe about 6 or 8 months ago, I was trying to improve the product without changing the appearance of it, just changing a little functionality that we had a lot of negative reviews on. And then a lot of other competition had negative reviews on that are similar to my product. So I thought to myself, if I do some product development and try to work this out myself, then it would be great. So what ended up happening was I ordered a bunch of inventory of this improved product, and I didn't do an inspection. And so what ended up happening was I shipped all that inventory to myself and a little bit to Amazon. And we found out that the product was defective. And so I had to remove some of the inventory. I believe we just sold out a little bit of what we had in Amazon. And then all that extra inventory that we had, I had to dispose of it. So it was a huge loss and a lesson learned to always do inspection before you ship, because that could definitely be a very costly mistake for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. A very expensive mistake to make, but it came from a good place. As you say, you were trying to improve the product. So you mentioned that you used Facebook ads. So can you walk me through your marketing strategy and where most of your traffic comes from? Does it come from paid sources or using listing description SEO or PPC?
The majority of my traffic comes from PPC on Amazon and organic. but mostly from organic on Amazon. We don't use Facebook anymore. We used to use it 2 years ago when it used to be cheaper. Now it's just a lot more expensive and harder to work with because of the changes on Facebook. Some of the strategies that we had, we used to do rebates about a little bit, almost 2 years ago. And these rebates were, we offered the customer a rebate after they purchase, and then that allowed us to rank for some of the keywords that we had. And we had a really good strategy to get the customer acquisition costs very low. So that allowed us to outcompete the competition in ranking, which really allowed us to get more organic sales. And then with more organic sales, you have more natural reviews, you gain higher ranking. Just pretty much the flywheel. It gave us the advantage of the flywheel effect to its fullest potential, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's great that you're able to take advantage of that organic traffic. As you say, it definitely lowers your CAC. You have quite a few social media accounts as well. Do you get a significant amount of traffic from that, or what are you using those channels for?
I try to experiment with TikTok, and I've hired an agency to create a handful, maybe about 60 videos, throw on my TikTok account. However, it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. It could be used for ads. It was supposed to be used for ads, but I'm just using it for organic. I'm not even experimenting with that anymore. However, right now it was just all an experiment, but I don't have anything going on in any of the social media accounts. No traffic going to the Amazon listing. We do have links on most of the accounts leading to the Amazon page, but we don't do any major advertising or anything on the pages.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing that they're set up and ready to go should a buyer want to take advantage of them. On that note, what do you see as the major opportunities for growth with this business?
I have about three major opportunities. And the first one, which is low hanging fruit, and one that we should be doing ourselves in about 3 weeks or so, we're going to be introducing two color variations of the product. And these two color variations will be, of course, on the same listing. So if the customer wants to purchase, we're hoping to have like an image to ask the customer if they want to purchase the main product that we have on the listing with a combination of any of the other colors or all three. Depending on what route they take, we're going to have different discount structures. So like if they purchase two, we'll give them 5% off. If they purchase three, we'll give them like 10% off, which would increase, that amount of sales, which would just add to the amount of sales that we have going on right now. So the future buyer of the company will have the color variations already within about 2-3 weeks from this recording. The second opportunity is also low-hanging fruit for any buyer out there that is familiar with international selling. So the listing has more than 10K reviews, and from my understanding, the reviews get pushed onto any other listing from any other country. Like if I wanted to go international, all the reviews will go along with it, which would make it 100 times easier if you were to start from scratch on any of those countries. So right off the bat, I think there's a lot of low-hanging fruit and a lot of sales to be made, and it's just an untapped opportunity of sales for this business. The third thing would be launching a new and improved product. You mentioned earlier that I am also including a patent on there. I have the business is going to be included with a utility patent and 2 design patents. The utility patent is very unique, and it's something that other competition do not have. To be quite frank, the competition really doesn't innovate a lot in this category. So the utility patent that I have, not to go too much into detail, but it actually makes the application of the product a lot easier than the competition themselves. So it's a very good advantage to have, and you could use it on a lot of products in that category. The design is different from all the other competition. So I would say that the product that we have right now is a Me Too product, which is like a lot of other sellers have. But the only difference is like we have higher quality images, higher quality videos. We've cemented our ranking. We have lots of reviews from being on for a very long time. Nobody else will have the same design. So it would just be an advantage there. But my main point is like this way of launching the product will allow us to be more competitive and just be unique, and having the utility patent will allow us to be able to compete a lot better. But it could definitely be a great next product to launch.
Yeah, I think those are really great growth opportunities there. As you say, a lot of low-hanging fruit for the buyers to take advantage of. Let's take a look at your supply chain now. Can you walk me through how many suppliers you have, where are they based, and how does inventory make its way to Amazon warehouses?
I have currently one supplier. This supplier has been with us for about 5 years already. Very reliable, very communicative, understands the product and our needs in and out. Before, early on, we used to communicate a bunch of details, but nowadays it's just a few sentences or a paragraph, and we understands what we need and the orders in production already. We like to have a little bit of material in hand so that way once we place the order, we don't have to wait for material to arrive. So it saves us maybe about 2 weeks in lead time. So we always have that handy material. And then how does it get to the Amazon warehouse? So we have inventory stored in the factory, and then we also ship some inventory to a 3PL. And then from the 3PL, we ship to Amazon, depending on how much we need. I'm not sure if the listeners have heard, but like the past 2 years have been really hectic with logistics. And so Amazon also had to limit some of the inventory that enter their warehouses. They like to see themselves not as a company that stores inventory as a warehouse, but they just want to have enough to push out. So like this made us sellers store our inventory in 3PLs and then trickle them in to the Amazon warehouse.
Yeah, fantastic. It's great that you have such a good relationship with your supplier. I think that's a huge asset in the e-commerce industry. You mentioned lead times. What is the lead time once you've placed an order until when it arrives at Amazon?
I will tell you the first lead time would be about 50 days from the time I place the order to the time it gets completed in the factory. Shipping times from the factory, it's in Dongguan, China, to San Diego, which is our 3PL warehouse. This takes about 1 to 2 months, but shipping times are getting a lot faster. We're doing sea shipping. Shipping has improved and it's just been a lot faster. So I would even say closer to the 1 month mark. So total, it would be 50 days plus the 1 month. Plus I would leave a bit of space, a little bit of room for receiving in Amazon. So I would say 50 days for production, 35 days for shipping, and a week and a half for Amazon to receive the inventory.
Fantastic. And do you know what your current inventory limits at Amazon warehouses are?
Restock limits, it's about 11,675. This number has been going up and down, and I have some friends of mine that also sell on Amazon, and they're also experiencing the same thing where inventory levels are going up and down. 11,675 is more than enough. It would be great to have more just to have a little bit more room just in case, but we only sell one product. We're going to be adding the 2 variations soon, so 11,675 is still plenty for all 3 variations.
Great. Yeah. I mean, as long as you have enough room, that's all that matters at the end of the day. Let's take a look now at your involvement in the business. What does a typical work week look like for you? How many hours are you spending on the business? What sort of activities are taking up your time?
Growing the business and just maintaining the business take different amount of times. I would tell you just a day-to-day without growing the business. So the day-to-day operations consist of customer service, answering questions. We don't get a lot as much as before, so that it doesn't take too much of my time. On average, maybe, to be honest, like less than 30 minutes a month. I would say ordering inventory, keeping track of inventory material, keeping track of the value of inventory down to the component and down to the fraction of the cent, just so that way our our on-hand and prepaid inventory numbers are accurate as possible. So that way when tax season comes, it's a breeze. Just keeping track of how much inventory we have at every location, how much the unit costs, and just keeping track of that. We have an SOP for that. And nowadays, we're constantly working on updating the images because I believe that once we update the images, there's always room for improvement. Like no matter if we do it once or twice, I believe that constantly looking at your images to see how can we make it better? Can we add infographics? Can we add a different model? Can we take some more lifestyle photography? I believe that part is very important because going back to my previous job at Samsonite, some of the things that I looked into is like the amount of customers that walked into the store and the amount of customers that walked out with the luggage in their hand. So conversions is very, very important. And I look at my Amazon store like if it's a real life store. If customers walk in and they're looking through the Amazon listing and they see something and they don't buy, then that makes me think like, what could I have done better? Or how can I position maybe this image over here and this image over here and these words over here? And so I'm constantly looking at the conversion rate. So I'm making sure that the conversion rates are as high as possible. And that's something that we focus on and we continue to focus on a day-to-day. And I would say to even the future buyer of this company to always invest time into that for sure. Those would be the main things. Really, we don't handle any inventory ourselves. We don't even see the inventory other than the product inspection that we have, the inventory that gets sent to us, which is like 2 or 3 units. It's pretty much automated because Amazon's doing all the work for us and shipping the product out. And a lot of the customer service is what they do nowadays as well. Yeah, I can't really think about too much things that the business requires us to do other than improving the listing and making it convert better. Although, it would be another whole different conversation if we were to talk on how do we grow the business, because growing the business requires different activities and requires different times and different places. So for now, I think I'll just keep it as the operations, because if the buyer is interested in growing the business, I would go invest my time in product development and learning from the product that we have now with negative feedback and how can we improve the product and going into deep in that area. So that's how it would look like if the buyer of the business is willing to invest some time into growing the business.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds like you've managed to streamline a lot of the operations, which is fantastic. And thank you for giving that insight as well into what would be needed to grow the business. I think that's really good to know as well. Do you operate this business alone, or do you have any employees or contractors who work with you?
Yes, I have a contractor that's full-time, and they operate the PPC and the operations that I mentioned earlier. They have SOPs written out. We've created SOPs, so things are very streamlined. I am involved in the business mostly just to oversee some of the results that my contractor gets from the operations and from PPC. But for the most part, yeah, they're in charge of like operations and stuff like that.
Okay, fantastic. It sounds like the business is running really smoothly. What do you think the biggest challenge will be for a buyer taking over this business?
I would say even now the biggest challenge, we've had a competitor in our category. They've been around for a while. I've been in this category for about 5 years, and they came in maybe 4 years ago and a year after I came in. And this competitor, they seem to like a lot of like black hat stuff. There's really not a lot of good news with black hat, but the good news is that it's very, very obvious of what they do. And it's easy to catch, even more than likely a customer could catch it. And so what that means for us is that these types of sellers don't last. Maybe about 2 years ago, I've noticed some black hat activity, which was simply they get another ASIN, for example, like a pack of water bottles that Amazon's selling, and they get that listing and then they get the product that they're selling in my category and they combine them. And so they merge the reviews. So when you go on the listing of the product and you look at the pictures, you'll see like it's really unrelated reviews, and it's obvious that what they're doing or how the listing looks like is not how it's supposed to. So 2 years ago, they've done this and I reported them and I had Amazon successfully removed. They were maybe around for a month or two trying to do it over again, but to a point they ended up just giving up because they weren't able to keep those 2 listings intact. So what happens is when they merge them, the review quantity goes up, and then that takes away sell ranking, and that takes away sales from the rest of the competition, including myself in that category. So that is what's going on right now at the moment. I'm reporting them. We are seeing some success. They seem to be adding the ASINs back together, but we're still continuing to report them, and news is Amazon's taking action. They're just continuing to put them back together, but we're letting Amazon know that they're putting them back together. So it's a real headache because our listing ranking kind of suffers because of that, but I'm not too worried about it in the long run because at the end of the day, it's very obvious and Amazon has proved themselves to take action, and it's not a long-term strategy to Amazon especially. This is a short-term approach to business.
Great. Yeah, it's great that you were able to take some steps to stop what they were doing. Hopefully that won't be too much of a challenge for the buyer to overcome. Given your expertise in the business, obviously you know the business better than anyone else. How much support are you willing to offer buyers to help ease that transition for them?
I'm more than happy to get on phone calls or emails if they even have any ideas with expanding or wanting to grow the business with product launches or product development. I'm more than happy to get on phone calls with them. I have a great understanding of what customers would like and what customers won't like. And I have maybe this past couple years, I've been spending a lot of time just thinking about improving the product and making a better version of the product. So if they have any questions in regards to that or operations or logistics, communication with suppliers, or anything in regards to the business of any kind, I'll be more than happy to offer them 6 months of support after they sell the business.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think that'll give them a good leg up into the business and definitely get them on their feet. When it comes time to negotiating the sale, would you be open to something like an earn-out agreement?
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. And would you commit to a non-compete?
Of course, yes.
Perfect. Well, Jose, that leads us into the final question of the interview, the one we've been building up to this whole time. So, if you had to put yourself into the shoes of a buyer, why do you think your business is a business worth buying?
I think my business is a great business worth buying because it's very grounded. It's been around for about 5 years. It's proven the test of time, and it's going to continue to prove the test of time. There is some challenges we have with one black hat competitor. However, I have really, really high hopes that they're going to not last as long, and Amazon's already taking action on, separating their images. So long term, it's a great business to have. The utility and the 2 design patents are great option for them to grow the business. As I mentioned, also going international. The 2 variations that we're going to be introducing is definitely some growth that's going to be happening. And overall, I think it's a great business to have just because along with the business, I'm going to be including some of the mainly negative feedback of customers that review the product, from email to Seller Central messages to reviews. And with this information, you're able to develop the best product that any customer of the product could dream of. And it would definitely give them a leg up of just being in that business for a very long time. And that information could definitely go out and compete at a very high level.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like a business that's going to set the buyer up for success. So definitely a lot of boxes ticked there. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners that I might have missed?
I think for the most part, that would be all. But I would also mention that the product is a very small, it's very low cost to manufacture. It's going to be 3 total with the 3 color variation. So it is a really easy business to operate as long as we continue to invest time into keeping the images up to date or just making them better for better conversions to allow the maximum amount of conversions. Yeah, that would be it, Lauren. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Well, Jose, thank you so much for taking the time to come onto the show and tell us some more about your business. I personally learned a lot about it. You gave some great insights. So it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Likewise, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for your time and your help in interviewing me. Thank you.
Wonderful. Anytime. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 64778. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.